Welcome to our channel. Today we're diving into European immigration policies. We're talking everything from strict regulations to temporary bans. Hungary, land of goulash, rich history, and stunning architecture. A country that has long been a crossroads of cultures and traditions. But it's also a land with a rather imposing border fence, a stark contrast to its welcoming image. In 2015, Hungary saw a surge in asylum seekers, many fleeing war-torn Syria seeking safety and a new beginning. Hungary responded with razor wire and strict asylum laws, making it incredibly difficult for refugees to get in or stay legally. The government argued it was necessary to protect national security and maintain order. Critics, however, say it's a blatant violation of international law and inhumane. Human rights organizations have condemned these measures, calling for more compassionate and lawful approaches. Hungary's policies have created a hostile environment for asylum seekers, leaving many stranded in limbo. These individuals, often families with young children, find themselves in makeshift camps, facing uncertain futures and harsh living conditions. The debate over Hungary's immigration policies continues to rage on, with strong opinions on both sides. While some support the government's stance, others call for a more humane and inclusive approach. Amidst the controversy, many volunteers and organizations work tirelessly to provide aid and support to those in need, offering a glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak situation. As Hungary navigates this complex issue, the world watches closely, hoping for a resolution that balances security with compassion and builds bridges instead of fences. Next up, Poland, a country with selective memory. Known for its rich history and cultural heritage, Poland has always been a land of contrasts. In 2017, Poland implemented restrictions on immigration from non-EU countries. These laws were designed to tighten the borders and control the influx of people seeking a new life in Europe. But Poland has been incredibly welcoming to Ukrainian refugees fleeing the war with Russia. The Polish government and its citizens have opened their arms, providing shelter, food, and support to those in need. This highlights a certain hypocrisy in their overall immigration policy. While Ukrainians find refuge, others face barriers. If you're from Syria or Afghanistan, the story is quite different. These refugees often find themselves stuck in limbo, struggling to find a safe haven. Good luck navigating the bureaucratic maze. The process is long, arduous, and often disheartening, filled with endless paperwork and long waiting periods. It raises important questions about who deserves help and who gets left out in the cold. The disparity in treatment between different groups of refugees forces us to reflect on our values and the true meaning of humanitarian aid. Austria, land of Mozart and strict asylum laws. In 2016, Austria introduced laws allowing them to turn away asylum seekers at the border and detain them for extended periods. Critics say these laws are inhumane and violate international law. Seeking asylum is a fundamental human right, not about finding a better job. Treating asylum seekers like criminals says more about the country than the people seeking refuge. Denmark, the land of Hygge and restrictive immigration policies. In 2015, Denmark tightened its immigration policies, making it harder to get asylum and reducing benefits for refugees. Critics say these measures create a hostile environment for refugees. Denmark's policies have been widely criticized by human rights groups. Even the happiest countries can have a dark side when it comes to immigration. Switzerland, famous for its neutrality and quotas on non-EU immigrants. In 2014, Switzerland imposed quotas on non-EU immigrants. Critics say these quotas are discriminatory and create labor shortages. The quota system has been controversial and goes against Switzerland's values of openness. Even the most neutral countries can have a hard line on immigration. Germany, land of beer, and a temporary suspension of the Schengen agreement. In 2015, Germany reintroduced border controls during the refugee crisis. Critics argued it undermined the Schengen agreement and sent a message that Europe was closing its doors. Even the most welcoming countries can have their limits. France, land of romance and heightened border security. In the wake of terrorist attacks, France introduced border controls and increased police presence. Critics argued these measures made it harder for asylum seekers to enter France. Security measures can create a climate of fear and suspicion. Belgium, land of waffles and partial border closures. In 2015, Belgium temporarily closed its border with France during the refugee crisis. Critics argued the closure was disproportionate and ineffective. The closure highlighted the fragility of European solidarity. Symbolic gestures do little to address the root causes of complex issues. Sweden, land of IKEA, and a long history of welcoming refugees. In 2015, Sweden temporarily reintroduced border controls during the refugee crisis. The move signaled a shift in policy and a tightening of the reins. Even the most welcoming countries can reach a breaking point. Norway, land of fjords and strict limits on asylum seekers. In 2015, Norway reduced the number of asylum seekers they were willing to accept. Critics argued that Norway could afford to be more generous. The debate over asylum quotas continues to this day. Balancing compassion and pragmatism is a challenge for many countries. Italy, land of pizza and the Salvini Decree. In 2018, the Salvini Decree made it harder for NGOs to rescue migrants and imposed stricter rules for asylum seekers. Critics argued the decree was inhumane and illegal. The decree sparked outrage and was eventually softened. The episode highlighted the rise of populism and the politicization of migration in Europe. Czech Republic, land of castles and a tough stance on immigration. In 2017, the Czech Republic made it more difficult for refugees to obtain permanent residency and reduced financial assistance. Critics argued the law was discriminatory and fueled xenophobia. The law sparked protests and criticism from human rights groups. Slovakia, known for its beautiful mountains and restrictive refugee policies. In 2016, Slovakia made it harder for refugees to obtain asylum and limited family reunification. Critics condemned these policies as discriminatory and Islamophobic. Slovakia argued they had the right to decide who they let into their country. The stance highlighted the growing divide within Europe over migration. Slovenia, a small country with a big heart, or at least it used to be. Nestled in the heart of Europe, Slovenia was once known for its open arms and welcoming nature. Its picturesque landscapes and vibrant cities were a testament to its rich cultural heritage and progressive values. In 2016, Slovenia tightened its asylum laws and erected fences along parts of their border. This move was a response to the unprecedented influx of refugees and migrants seeking safety and a better life in Europe. The fences, stretching for miles, became a symbol of the growing divide between nations and the people they once welcomed. Critics argued these measures were inhumane and turned their backs on people in need. They pointed out the harsh conditions faced by refugees, who were often left stranded in makeshift camps with limited access to basic necessities. Protests erupted across the country, with citizens demanding a more compassionate approach to the crisis. Slovenia's shift in policy highlighted the challenges faced by countries caught in the middle of a global crisis. The European migrant crisis put immense pressure on governments to balance security concerns with humanitarian responsibilities. Debates raged in the Slovenian parliament, with politicians grappling over the best course of action. Balancing humanitarian obligations and national interest is a complex issue. Diplomatic meetings were held to discuss the broader implications of immigration policies, and humanitarian aid organizations worked tirelessly to provide relief. The European Union faced a critical test of its unity and values as member states navigated the turbulent waters of the crisis. Bulgaria, land of roses and a border fence. In 2014, Bulgaria erected a fence along their border with Turkey to deter migrants and asylum seekers. Critics argued the fence was expensive, ineffective, and inhumane. The fence drew criticism from human rights groups. Bulgaria defended its decision, arguing it was acting in its own national interest. Well, there you have it, a whirlwind tour of 15 European countries and their evolving approaches to immigration. From border fences to legal hurdles, these countries have implemented a range of measures. It's important to understand the complexities of immigration and consider the human impact of these policies. How we treat people seeking refuge says a lot about us as a society.